Hey you guys, welcome to this live stream. This is super exciting because I'm going to share with you an exact step-by-step process to get relief from your triggers. My name is Lauren Cercione. I've been in fitness for 20 years and I specialize in energy, mindset, and strategy to get people healthy and to their dream aesthetic. Now, my experience with this is that in the past, I have lived basically my whole life with chronic pain and tension, and the peak of the chronic pain and tension happened in 2017 when a disc in my neck slid up and under the one above it. And I got tuned into Dr. John Sarno's work about the disconnection of psychosomatic, that every ailment that we have, unless it is a missing gene or unless it is actual broken tissue, like a broken bone, everything in our body is the result of a mental emotional disconnect. And his work actually goes into inner child primitive of emotions that we may have stored in our field since we were an infant. So in 2017, I started meditating with Joe Dispenza so that I could understand how the energy was working in my body. I've studied Bruce Lipton's work and Candace Pert's work about the molecules of emotion. And essentially what I have found is this, is that there are two emotional bodies: vibrational, that has to do with your spirit side, your light body, and chemical, that has to do with your human side, your physical body. And when we get the chemical emotional body and the vibrational emotional body together in unison, it sends a direct signal to the mind. So you are aware of what's going on above your skin and what's going on within your skin so that you don't get taken out by your feelings. Because for me, I have not liked to feel my body. I am super emotional and I have done everything under the sun to not feel the emotional, energetic sensations. So in the process of having to heal, in the process of wanting to heal without having to feel so much, I have a lot of step-by-step instructions that are similar to what you would get to work out your physical body. So this is one of them, okay? So first of all, what I notice, when things get triggered, so the pictures that I'm going to post are my body at 128 and a half pounds, and it looks really good. Like the cellulite on my stomach is going away on my thighs. My stomach is flatter. You can see more muscle. The pictures that I'm going to post are something that would trigger me in the past, because in the past, what I would feel like is that body is so far out of reach and that person must have a perfect life, or that person must be nice enough or good enough or loving enough to deserve that body. And it would take me out. I would start to reflect on the ways in which I don't feel nice, I don't feel lovable, or I don't deserve whatever it is I deserve. I would immediately go into my low vibrational feelings that are stored in my field of meanings that I created about myself when I had these bad sensations in my body from 0 to 7. So what I want to share with you is that if you get triggered by the photo, or if you get triggered by anything else going on out there, if you bought a new workout program that you're going to start in January and you are super excited about it, or if you got accepted to do something, or if you fit into a dress, or just anything that has happened that has given you the 3D material physical confirmation that you have arrived in some way, whatever that is. So if we have that confirmation in 3D that we've arrived, we are going to have high vibrational emotions: elation, bliss, excitement, maybe even probably not appreciation, but like, oh my God, I did it. Like you're impressed with yourself and you can't believe it. But then immediately the low vibration emotions kick in. All of a sudden you get worried. Am I going to be able to pull it off? Am I going to be able to sustain it? Will it turn out that, I'm full of crap? Like you start to go through all of the self-doubt rhetoric. All of that stuff starts to present itself in your mind. And why I see this happening is because if we're talking about vibration, and if we're talking about high vibration emotions, they're lighter, like literally in color, they are lighter. the low vibrations, the sad stuff, the anxious stuff, the overwhelmed stuff, the self-doubt stuff is low vibration. That's why if you look at like the chakra column, red is way down here at the root chakra. And then sometimes the crown chakra is depicted as a very, very bright fuchsia. It's light. We're all a photon of light. So if we're having these high vibration emotions of elation and we're blissed out because we're finally getting the 3D confirmation to have this amazing experience from the outside in, that high vibration is going to cause a contrast in your vibrational field because you haven't quite hit those emotions, right? Because this is a new milestone. So you like went up a notch in excitement and energy, but there's still low energy that's in your field that was the low energy or the sad emotions that up until this milestone have been preventing you from reaching this. So now that you've reached it in 3D, you've reached the body, you got into the dress, you got the whatever the confirmation is, now those low vibrations that have been holding you back, now they have to be integrated. Because you have to now step into this next version of yourself and then hold it. And live that next version of yourself until you get the idea to climb another step in the staircase. To create another milestone for yourself. So that's what happens. It's just energy. The self-doubt stuff in your head doesn't have to mean anything. It can just be as simply as you think about that you have to add a weight to the barbell to get stronger, or you have to push yourself a little bit harder when you feel that plateau. That's all that emotional feeling is in. It is. So let's do this. So what I have found, this is how I go through it, okay? So when I get triggered and I feel the low vibrations coming up and I'm like, fuck, like, why do I feel like a loser again? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough again? Why do I feel like, the big one for me is always I did something wrong. Because I have a broken relationship from 9 years old that I, in my childlike mind, meant that the break in the relationship meant that I did something wrong. So one of my core wounds, and you've probably noticed it on my social media, is that I don't want to be wrong, don't want to be wrong. And so what has happened for me with this shadow is instead of me just sharing my experience of how I've been able to heal my body, I share with you behind the scenes to prove myself so that you will believe me. And that I can show like, look, I'm not trying to do anything wrong. I'm trying to show you. So when I get the I'm doing something wrong vibration active in my field, what I do is go into my mind. So what that means is I get quiet and I go on a walk. Like I go on a walk or I meditate. I sit here on my little stool and with my legs crossed and stuff, and I just like get into it. And so what I want you to do, because this is what I do, I'm sharing with you how to do it.
Sorry, could you say that again?
I think that's the shadow talking. Okay, so what I do, and you're welcome to do this, is I allow myself to feel the emotions. Because what I know about how the mind works, right, that it's just a computer that's picking up frequencies in the field, that if I feel my body, the vibration that's coming from my field is going to evoke images in my mind. Now, these images can be memories, and I will probably find the moment that I gave the feeling in my body meaning to then understand it a little better and release it. So I end up releasing a subconscious or an unconscious memory that is preventing me from bringing myself to the next level in 3D. I keep that in mind, that my vibration is going to show me what is buried in my subconscious or my unconscious, because that's how the brain and the body work with frequency and signal and information, just like your phone and the Wi-Fi connection. The other thing is I realize that as an empathetic person, as someone who's tuned into energy, I could process something that's just in the field. So I don't know if you've heard this about the Akashic Records, but the Akashic Records are like a record book of all of the universe. And there's people who identify with saying, I read the Akashic Records, like some people identify with, I give Reiki sessions. It's just ways that we talk about the energy. So the Akashic Record is basically like you being a computer for the collective unconscious. So if you look at Dr. Stephen Greer, when he talks about making contact with interdimensional species, he says you have to go into your heart to set the highest desired outcome of connecting with an interdimensional species if it's safe for them to come into our area, to come into our dimension without getting shot down. So he says, you go into your heart, then you elevate your consciousness to have that high outcome. Then you elevate your consciousness again into the collective of all human thought. And then you go up again. I think you go up 3 times. So what I'm sharing with you is that if you have something going on in your body, a low vibration feeling of anxiety or overwhelm, or for me, like I did it wrong, you actually might be ready to process something for the collective. And that's really high level stuff and stuff that I really love to talk about, because when, in my experience and looking at my friends or like my friends who are aligned with my belief system, when we talk about this stuff, what I've noticed is that a lot of us who feel a lot of energy out there that has nothing to do with us personally, we take it out on our body. Our body somehow has to compensate for all of the information that we're getting. So why I'm sharing this with you is because if you have a hard time in your body, you're stuffing it or you're depriving it or you're pushing it too hard to where it gets sick or injured. I've done all of that. And it's all been a way to escape the feelings in the body. So when you get triggered and you go into this meditation, or when I get triggered and I go into this meditation, I open myself up to say, I am willing to see a memory come up of my subconscious or my unconscious, and I'm willing to process something that has nothing to do with me. So what sometimes happens is when you sit with yourself and you allow your 5 senses to do whatever it is they do when they feel, if you smell something different, if you taste something different, if you get tingles, if you hear something, if you just get a vision in your mind, those 5 senses are now communicating information to your brain. So your 5 senses of the emotional body have now brought the awareness to your mind for processing. So if the memory comes up, great. What kind of a meaning did you give this feeling in your body as the individual you were when this memory came up? And can you take a look at how this unconscious vibration and this unconscious meaning, right? So that's the emotional and the mental state, how those actually showed up in your life. How are you unconsciously behaving, speaking, interacting with people, going to different places based on this destructive mental emotional meaning about yourself? Because then when you start to look at how the energy and the mental state have played out in your life, who you are now can now observe it and like be your own life coach and be like, oh, I see how I created that entire experience. And so you start to forgive yourself and you start to forgive people who may have hurt you because you see where it came from. So that's how you process the old stuff. And then when something is coming up for you that has nothing to do with you, sometimes for me, it looks like a movie. Or a commercial will come up in my head. Or a sitcom will come up. Or just like a random image that makes me think a thought that says, oh shit, this is what this emotion actually does. I'm understanding how this experience in life, so whatever it is that triggered me, now I can see the negative and the positive experience playing out because I can feel both of the energies. Now I have choice. I have choice because now I'm seeing that for this one subject that I'm triggered about, I had the elation, blissful thoughts, and then I immediately had the negative self-doubt thoughts. Oh, These are just two variations of this single experience. Interesting. And when you do that for the collective, or you do that with the Akashic Records, to me, what I think it is that our view, our human experience, plus how we are uniquely an extension of Source, puts the Akashic Record back on the shelf, like puts a book back on the shelf with more information about the subject and about the varying experiences of positive and negative emotional after effects of it. So like we're adding to the collective consciousness when we allow ourselves to feel the body and feel the trigger. So let me give you a recap real quick, because I wrote this out for somebody yesterday. I'm just going to read it and then end this live stream. Okay. So this is what I wrote. If this is a better recap for you than everything that I just went off on in detail. So I said, it feels to me like the elation and excitement for this milestone caused enough disruption in your field that the old emotions that had been holding you back, creating unconscious self-limiting beliefs prior to this reaching this milestone in 3D, got active. This is when I remind myself the only way is through. I think I messed up that saying. And to stay present to thoughts because they are either mine or the collective's. So I allow my five senses to do whatever it is they do when they perceive the field. But I do so with the intention to understand these emotions so I can find the meaning identity created an ego I gave myself when I first imprinted that vibration on my field, so I can make sense of it in my mind. Whenever I've sunk deeper into my low vibe feelings, I usually learn how energy works in a way I understand it. So it's basically just a learning lesson, the Akashic Records part that I told you about. Or I release an actual memory from my sub or unconscious mind when I bring that meaning, number one, to neutral. So remember, when I observe the state I was in when I created the meaning, I bring it to neutral. To then observe in real life what I've unconsciously created in my life because of the low vibe emotions. Number three, to then perceive the memory with the third eye of wisdom. So basically that means that I'm seeing how it all played out and I'm being that life coach for myself. Number four, to use that wisdom to upgrade my physical body and habits and behaviors, matching my new state of being, one and the same as someone who is ready for the next step after the milestone, so I can hold steady, maintain, get grounded. And then number five, I climb to the next milestone. So this is how I've been doing stuff. And I'm so glad I'm in a group and somebody asked a question. They had just reached a milestone and they had all this anxiety and they're like, I'm doing everything I can. What do I do? And for me, I don't do anything to like self-soothe or make the feelings go away. I don't distract myself from the feelings. I actually go in deeper to the feelings. So anyway, so I wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to launch Reboot in February. And Reboot is going to be a program where I'm sharing with you everything that I have done to end the binge eating, to end the yo-yo dieting, to end the chronic pain and tension. And it's really cool because it's going to be, oh my gosh, it's just going to be the easiest thing that you've ever done in terms of making that first step to go through with it. And it's going to require you to be brave because I'm going to ask you to do things that you may not be comfortable with, but it all has to do with your habits and your thoughts and your feelings. And yeah, let's be honest. Change is not comfortable, and I'm excited to share it with you. And I want to tell you that it's going to be difficult, but I also want to tell you that it's going to be simple. Like the things are simple. The difficult thing is getting through what I just shared with you. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions and being okay with sinking deeper into them so that you can get rid of them. Because there's nothing that we can do on the outside. There's nothing that we can do mentally to undo the energy. Like we have to actually go into the energy. Like you have to pick up the weight exercise, or you have to get onto the mat to do Pilates. You have to put a plate on the barbell in order to do a deadlift. Like you have to go into the energy. And I think that where a lot of us have gone wrong, myself included, in trying to fix these destructive habits in our body is that we've thought that we had to like put something into the container to fix the problem, when really we just have to go deeper into the container to fix the problem. Does that make sense? Okay, we'll catch you later.